That's a game 2 win for the Mariners as Jared Kelenic and JP Crawford do the heavy lifting for the offense, and Luis Castillo provides 7 innings of 2-run ball. Let's talk about it here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Tuesday, September 19th, 2023. This is Trident Gonzalez and Colby Padnode for the Locked On Mariners postgame show, brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supply of 5 antibiotics that treat 50-plus infections. Get yours today over at jacemedical.com. That's Jase medical.com. Thank you so much for making us your first listen after the game. Subscribe, like, and turn on alerts if you're watching on YouTube, or subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform if you like what you hear. And if you're part of the crew and rock with us every single day, let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you after a big Mariners win. And if you want to hear from us even more, please consider signing up for our Patreon. You can now get a free 7-day trial to check out the show. The link, as well as our social accounts, is in the description of this episode. 7-2, the final score from the Oakland Coliseum. Mariners secure their second series victory, just their second series victory in the month of September. And more importantly, they are just a half game back of first place in the AL West with another Astros loss to the Baltimore Orioles tonight. No help on the Blue Jays and Rangers fronts, unfortunately, but Colby, it's another good night for the Mariners overall. They take care of business once again, just as they need to against a very bad Oakland Athletics ball club. Your thoughts on the game?
Overall pretty solid night, all around. Offense got off to a pretty slow start against a pitcher they really should handle. They were able to work counts. They had a couple long innings, but just 2 runs again in 5 innings against Blackburn. That's not an acceptable outcome. But Jared, couple RBI singles, good to see. Neither one of them hit particularly hard. They were both mistake pitches that he still jammed himself on. But at the end of the day, RBI singles are RBI singles. So 2-0 early, and then they kind of have the big breakout inning, which we know is kind of the Mariners' MO. They're going to get 2-3 good opportunities to score, and they need to take advantage of them. And they did. They had their big inning, and we know when they get their big inning, they're pretty tough to beat. Overall offense was solid. It was a big JP night, particularly late in the game. Big double to kind of break the floodgates open. And then the home run in the ninth to kind of cap it. Teoscar had another good night at the plate. Jared had a couple hits. It was good to see. It was different guys from last night. Gino went right back, and he was 1 for 5 with 3 strikeouts and some really bad ones. Ty France had some awful at bats. Julio had some awful at bats. I've never seen a guy chase a pitch that was literally a foot off the outside corner, but Julio did. And yeah, he's in a bit of a mini slump right now. I think that's fair to say. It has not been a good 3 games for Julio overall, but sure. Other guys stepping up, picking him up. Last night it was the bottom of the order. Today, it was bottom of the order a little bit. Haggerty came into the game, and he made his presence felt. JP did his job. But yeah, it was the JP show. It was, Teoscar and Jared, and enough contributions from everybody else. 7 runs is 7 runs, regardless of how you get them. And if you score 7, you're going to win most of these games. So, Cal, couple 2-3 strikeouts tonight. He didn't look great, but you got enough offense. You only need 3 or 4 guys in your lineup to kind of string it together, and you can produce some serious numbers. So overall, it was a clean game offensively. Pitching was good. I wouldn't say it was great again. I think it falls short of great. And the defense was really good. So just a good, clean baseball game. Not a ton of egregious mistakes, some questionable decisions. Stop with the contact play, for the love of God. I think overall it was a good game. Solid effort. I'm not going to say they're back because of the last 2 games, but they've done what they needed to do against a really bad Oakland team. They played from ahead the entire time, never really given Oakland much of a chance to get back into these games. And that's what you have to do. So just good, solid, clean baseball, and Mariners have a couple 5-run victories. They need to finish it off tomorrow. The sweep is critically important here, so
Yep.
they need George to have his first really good outing in about a month. So hopefully he can do that, and the Mariners can head into their last off day of the year, riding a little bit of momentum before they essentially start their playoffs on Friday. So hopefully they can get that done.
George Kirby versus Joey Estes, who will be making his major league debut for the A's tomorrow, and we'll be doing a post-game show after that, win or lose. So look forward to that. Like you mentioned, JP Crawford, really nice night for him, 2 for 5 at the plate. He had 4 hard hit balls, a double, which, like you mentioned, kind of broke the floodgates open here for the Mariners in their big 7th inning, 4-run 7th inning, and then he added even more insurance in the top of the 9th with a mammoth bomb, his 16th home run of the season for JP. Jared Kelenic, have a night. I mean, yeah, he didn't have any hard hit balls, but the 2 RBIs, or the first 2 RBI for the Mariners, they really needed that. That really, set the tone for the game, and then he really set the tone for the defensive portion of the game for the Mariners as well. Stellar defensive performance from the Mariners across the board. Jared made a really nice catch, making use of the big foul territory in Oakland. Nice running grab near the Oakland bullpen. And then shortly after that, Cal Raleigh catches 2 stolen base attempts. I think he has 7 in the last week or something like that. He is playing out of his mind from behind the dish. He was able to get Esteury Ruiz, who is a tough get on the base pass. He has something like 63 stolen bases this season. He got him with an amazing throw. And then a couple of batters later, Tony Kemp tries and tests Cal's arm. And Josh Rojas, that was mostly Josh Rojas on that one, makes a leaping grab on the Cal throw and is able to tag Tony Kemp through his wickets. It was a pretty nice play. JP Crawford also made a nice play, going to his right to make a throw and get Esteury Ruiz out on a ground out at first base by a few steps as well, which is again, Ruiz can really jet, and to be able to do that on that kind of play was pretty impressive. So a really nice night for the Mariners defense. It's a solid night for the Mariners offense. I mean, you score 7. Yeah, they left some opportunities out there, but still you scored 7 against this A's team, and it never really felt, especially from the 7th inning onward, that this game was in jeopardy. So you did what you needed to do. And Luis Castillo was not necessarily dominant again, but he gave you enough. He gave you 7 innings of 2-run ball. We're going to be talking about him some more in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges, however, with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales, and we built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That is linkedin.com/LOCKEDON for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/LOCKEDON to get started. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 7-2 victory over the Oakland Athletics. You can catch the final game of this 3-game series as the Mariners go for the sweep tomorrow afternoon on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And be sure to join us after the game for the Locked On Mariners postgame show. So Luis Castillo goes 7 innings, 2-run ball, 5 hits, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks. It's not great. His command is still a little bit all over the place, especially with his secondary. Still a good fastball, but this is still not the dominant Luis Castillo that I keep on waiting for. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for him to get back to that point. I mean, at the end of the day, 7 innings, just 2-run ball, doesn't matter the opponent. That's good. That's really good. But it's still, he's not just shredding through offenses like you would hope he would. And now you're going into your gauntlet where you're really going to need him. And I don't know if he doesn't necessarily have the best command, is he going to be able to survive against a team like the Astros, like a team like the Rangers? What do you think?
Yeah. Basically, we're waiting for Toronto playoff game Luis Castillo to show up. We haven't seen that guy in a while. We've seen glimpses of him. And again, it's not like he's pitching poorly. The numbers over his last 3 starts are totally good. And but that's why we talk about not box score scouting, particularly pitching. Because you do watch these and there's a lot of 3-ball counts and there's a lot of walks and there's a lot of bad misses. And his stuff is just, playing up and out of its mind. And that's kind of why he's been able to survive. Can he do that against Houston? Can he do that against Texas? Like, I don't know, but those are 2 games you probably really need to win. So Castillo is going to have to find a little something here. But again, overall tonight, really solid night. Very fastball heavy game plan, just like yesterday's game. I imagine Kirby will have a very similar game plan tomorrow. A lot of fastballs. But yeah, it was 47% four-seamer, 20% two-seamer. Did have, 32% whiff rate on the four-seamer. That's a pretty good number for a four-seam fastball. The big swing and miss pitch today was the slider. 56% whiff rate on that pitch. So yeah, it was get ahead with the fastball, bury him with the slider. Mixed in the changeup some, didn't quite have the command you need of that pitch. That's going to be a big pitch for Castillo when he's facing Corey Seager, when he's facing Nathaniel Lowe, when he's facing Jordan, when he's facing Kyle Tucker. Like, he's going to need to find that pitch, or he's going to have to sharpen up the slider a little bit. But overall, really solid night for Castillo. Not great, not dominant. Better lineup, probably tags him for a couple runs more. But, again, solid night. Was able to pitch around quite a bit of traffic early in the first and again in the third and I think the fifth or the fourth. There was some traffic. There was some legitimate traffic, and obviously, Cal helped bail him out on the 1 inning where he gave up multiple hits before the 7th. But overall, solid night for Castillo. I would stop well short of calling it an incredible night from Castillo or a great night for him. It's funny. They were talking on the postgame show about Castillo, like, he's probably not going to win the Cy Young. And one of the reasons that Kruger pointed to is that there was an East Coast bias. And I'm like, we really think Luis Castillo deserves to win the Cy Young? Like, or is that people arguing that? Because I don't see that at all.
I love Luis, but Garrett Cole's been better. He's been better.
So is Gossman. Like,
yeah, I mean, Luis has a pretty big edge on Gossman statistically, in quite a few categories. But Garrett Cole is the Cy Young to me. I think it's pretty clear.
I think Castillo. I don't even know if Castillo is going to get to 4 wins. At F4, like, he's had his struggles and he's had a couple of really bad blow up starts. So this is the one time where I'm more than willing to to sound the horn on East Coast bias and all that stuff. But I don't think Castillo has been like a legit Cy Young. Like, it feels kind of like when Robbie Ray won his Cy Young, where it's just like, I mean, he had a good year, but like, probably not the best case. So Castillo's been really good. If you do make the playoffs and you do happen to have a chance to line up your rotation, which it doesn't sound like you're going to unless you win the division, Castillo's probably getting the ball game 1. But, he hasn't been dominant this year. He's just been very good. And, for the most part, that's all you need, because typically George Kirby's going to be very good after him. Logan Gilbert's going to be very good after him. So I don't think that he's had an incredible year and all that. I think he's had a very good year. He's been exactly what you needed him to be. He's been really good for long stretches of the year. He's still, even when he's not pitching all that well, he's still found a way to give you 5 or 6 every single time out. He's had a couple of dominant performances early and then a few sprinkled in here in the middle of the year. Like Castillo's been very good this year. I would stop well short of calling him a legitimate Cy Young contender. I don't see it.
I mean, I think he is, just because of there hasn't really been a lot of great pitching at the high end in the American League. There's Cole, there's Gossman, there's Eflin, and then I think Castillo's right there. I think George Kirby, even with how shaky the last month has been for him, is right in that range as well still. Just there hasn't been a lot of there hasn't really been anyone in the American League that has pulled away too much. I think Cole is still definitively that guy, especially when looking at it within the spirit of how that award is voted. But I think Castillo might end up being third still because of the numbers. Speaking of the numbers, he threw his 200th strikeout tonight. I believe they said on the broadcast that he is now the 8th Mariners starting pitcher with a 200 strikeout season. So congratulations to Luis Castillo on that front. But a great example of what you were saying earlier of how the stuff is playing up so much still is the slider, right? He's still, you look at the numbers on the slider are really good, but he had some bad misses with that pitch. He's still, the command is still just not there on that pitch. And that's really going to be the key for him, because look, he has a great fastball. I'm not denying that, but even with a great fastball, how much can you live off of that, especially against an elite offense like the Texas Rangers, who he's going to have to pitch very well against in order for the Mariners to get to where they want to go? How is he going to be able to survive off of that against the Houston Astros? These are just the things that continue to creep through my mind when I watch him pitch right now. I'm a little concerned about that. I'm still just waiting for, again, like you mentioned, that Toronto game 1 of the wild card, Luis Castillo. Where is that guy? I want to see him absolutely just shred through a good lineup. So hopefully that comes soon, because the Mariners are absolutely going to need that. So we're going to talk about the Astros and the Rangers and the Blue Jays, what went on with them tonight in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners postgame show is brought to you by Jace Medical. Modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chains are fragile. Things like pandemics, natural disasters, and foreign travel may cut you off from the treatment you need. Jace Medical is your solution for that. Just fill out our online form, and one of our board-certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate. Then they will send your prescriptions to one of our partner pharmacies, where your Jace order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. Everyone should feel empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace Case. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. You're listening to the Locked On Mariners postgame show. Thank you again for making us your first listen after the Mariners 7-2 victory over the Oakland Athletics. You can catch the final game of the series as the Mariners go for a sweep tomorrow afternoon on the Mariners hometown broadcast with SiriusXM via the SXM app. And again, after the game, catch us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show as we hopefully discuss a Mariners sweep, a much needed Mariners sweep. Real quick, just going back to the Cy Young conversation, I also forgot to mention, Sonny Gray, Pablo Lopez, the two guys in Minnesota. There's a lot of competition there. But again, I feel like no one's really pulled away in that race. So yeah, I could see, Castillo being top 3, top 5, but I just, in terms of him actually winning, I don't know about that one.
I feel more strongly about Julio should be the MVP case than I do Luis should be the Cy Young award winner, but
yeah,
whatever. We both know that neither of those are going to happen. So
neither of those things are going to happen.
No.
Maybe a couple maybe a couple of gold gloves though for the Mariners. Yeah, which we'll talk about later on. We'll talk about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Hopefully late October.
Yeah.
Or even November. November would be great. Ideal.
Yeah, I would love to not be forced into talking about that on October 2nd.
Yeah. But hey, you know what did happen tonight, Ty?
What's that, Colby?
The Modesto Nuts are your Cal League champions.
Oh, let's go. Let's go. Congratulations.
Go Nuts. Sure.
Go Nuts. Yeah.
They won. I want to pull this up to be 100% sure, but I'm pretty confident I read a tweet that said that the Modesto Nuts won. Let me see if I can just find it real fast. Just an incredible like run. They had 5 teenagers in their starting lineup tonight.
Wow.
They would have had 6. They missed 6 by they have a 20-year-old in their lineup, so they would have had six teenagers in that lineup. So yeah, they won 21 of their last 27 to get into the playoffs. They were 9 games out on August 3rd of making the playoffs. They went on this incredible run, and I want to say they won something like 40 of their last 49 overall. They swept through the playoffs. They went 4-0 in the playoffs, didn't drop a game. Tatum Levins had a huge series. Colt Emerson had a huge series. Farmelo helped out a lot. Ty Pete helped out a lot. Laz, kind of carried him in a game or two. It was quite a run for the Modesto Nuts. And they're not the only team that has a chance to win a championship in the Mariners organization.
Mm-hmm.
The Mariners have an outside shot.
Yeah, there you go.
Arkansas is in the playoffs. Tacoma, I think, is a game out right now, and I'm pretty sure Everett got bounced. Pretty sure. So, good night down on the farm. The Modesto Nuts, go Nuts.
Congratulations,
Cal League champions.
Congratulations to the Modesto Nuts. Yeah, 21 of 27. That's wild. That's the Colt Emerson, Ty Pete, Johnny Farmelo stimulus pack right there. Also, Aiden Smith is on that team, or did Aiden Smith go all the way to high A? Yeah, no, Aiden Smith is on that team. Yeah.
By the way, correction here. Modesto wasn't quite as good as I thought. They only went 38-9 over their last 47 games.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't think that includes the playoffs either. So 42-9 in their last 51 games, the Modesto Nuts.
That's insane.
It'd be nice if the Mariners could do a little bit of that themselves, right? Maybe
and hey, congratulations to friend of the show, Darren Bowen, as well on his championship. Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, enjoy, boys. Congratulations. All right. So, scoreboard watching. Let's talk about it a little bit here. The Rangers and the Blue Jays unfortunately won. The Blue Jays beat the brakes off of the Yankees tonight. The Rangers actually got a decent night out of their bullpen and were able to beat the Red Sox 6-4. It got a little dicey there where they were going back and forth, but they were able to get enough offense. Nathan Eovaldi still did not look great. He gave up 3 over 5 innings pitched. That's still a little bit of an issue there for Texas, but they win. And so, like the Mariners, they are a half game back of the Houston Astros for first place in the American League West. The Astros lost again to the Baltimore Orioles 9-5. Their bullpen is also really struggling. The AL West bullpens have been a problem in the month of September. A little bit longer than that for Texas specifically. But yeah, man, it's the mid-off continues. The Astros don't want to win the division. The Rangers don't want to win the division. The Mariners don't want to win the division. No one wants to win the division right now, it seems. We just keep on going back and forth. And so it was hard to be hopeful about the division, even just a few days ago, but here we are. And the Mariners, I mean, depending on what happens this weekend against the Rangers, the Mariners might have a chance to go into that Astros series starting Monday to get into first place in the American League West, to actually be fighting for first place in the American League West. That might be a deciding series in the division race. Yeah. So, I mean, the Mariners still have quite a few avenues here to make it in theory. And the road is going to get tougher for the Blue Jays. They are still going to play the Rays twice before the season is over. So it's not like anyone really has an easy path here. I would think that the Astros, of the 4 teams we're talking about here, and that includes the Mariners, that the Astros have the easiest path because they're facing the Royals over the weekend. They're facing the Diamondbacks to end the season, but the Royals have been incredibly annoying. They just took 2 of 3 from Houston down in Kansas City. And the Diamondbacks are going to be fighting for their playoff lives. And I know Paul Sewald is going to want to help out Seattle a little bit in that series as well. So I have no idea how this is going to play out, but this is crazy. The AOS is kind of a joke right now because like none of these teams are pulling away. They're all below 500 in the month of September. It's bad right now. What do you think about all of it, Colby?
I'm still upset that the Mariners didn't. The Mariners had a shot with just a good September to basically have this thing clinched already. They should be in a spot where if they win in those last 10 games, if they win 4, like they win the division. Like that's the
Yeah.
situation they should be in. They're not because they messed around and now they're finding out. But we're not. It's not hyperbole at all. By the way, when Ty and I say that like the playoffs start on Friday,
Yeah.
because if you get swept in Texas, your season is over. Like let's just call it what it is, because at that point, hopefully, fingers crossed, you win tomorrow, Texas loses tomorrow, and you go into Texas with a half game lead. If you get swept, you've lost the tiebreaker, and now you're 2.5 back with 7 to go. It's over. So yeah, we're not joking when we say that, that the playoffs start on Friday. I think if you lose 5 games, you're out. If you go 5-5, you're out. And that's only if you win tomorrow. Like you have to win tomorrow. That's how critical that is. It is the most important game of the season by far. You have to win it tomorrow. And if you don't, then I think you got to go like 7-3 in these last 10 to have a shot to win the division. Toronto 1.5 lead, I think, right now. So it's not easy to fumble to essentially. I mean, because the Mariners are going to have the tiebreaker on them, it's only really half a game or a game, however you want to look at it. But still, that's not an easy thing to fumble. So we're down to the stretch where 2 games in a week is a lot. You have to
Yeah.
be within a game, and and kind of terrifying. If you go into Texas, if you go into that final game of Texas, you don't want to be in a position where you have to win 3 out of 4 to get into the playoffs, which might be the position you're in, depending on how you play over the next 8. So, or in the next 7, it's dicey, man. The playoffs are here. Like they have arrived. Not every game is must win, but obviously if you run the table, you're getting in, so that should be the goal. But yeah, it's going to be stressful. The Mariners had a chance to build themselves a nice little buffer, not only in the division lead, but also in the wild card. They had a shot to put themselves in a position where even if they struggled over these last 10 games, they still had a good chance to win the last wild card. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
It really feels like this Texas or Seattle is going to get that last spot, and it's going to come down to whoever wins. And remember, Seattle has to beat the Rangers record. They have to beat them unless they go 5-2, I think is the only way. No, they have to go 6-1 to win that tiebreaker. So you have to finish ahead of the Rangers. And if you go 6-1 against the Rangers, you're going to be in no matter what.
If you go
regardless of
5-2
tiebreakers.
against them, it's yeah.
You're probably
probably
getting
does.
in.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it is not hyperbole. We are not joking when we say the playoffs start on Friday. And honestly, really, tomorrow. They start tomorrow. And they, in all honesty, they started on Monday. Like, it is so critical. I think if you go 6-4, hypothetically, if you win tomorrow, you have to go at least 6-4 to give yourself a shot. So you can get swept by Texas, I guess, but you feel good about going 6-1 in the last week of the year to give yourself even a shot? No. These are critical games, and it's just annoying that the Mariners just basically took their safety parachute and just lit it on fire and threw it out of the plane before they jumped. So the Mariners are gonna have to play really well. These are going to be very both teams. They're not unsure about where they stand. They know how important these games are. You're pulling out all the stops. Both teams are going to be coming off of an off day. Texas is going to have the home field advantage. You have to pitch well. You have to play good defense. You can't do anything stupid. When you get the bases loaded and 1 out or no outs and JP Crawford, Julio, and Cal or Teoscar are up, you need to produce runs, not runs, plural. The playoffs are here. They have arrived. And it's unfortunate that you put yourself in a position like that, but you did, and that's the reality. And at the end of the day, if you go 7-3, you got a real good shot. If you go 6-4, pretty good shot. 5-5, if you lose 5 games, I think you're out. So the stakes could not be higher. 500
Sure.
middling baseball is not going to be enough. Unless you're counting on Houston to get swept by the Royals, which maybe, I mean, who knows, but
We'll see.
they're here, man.
We'll
The
see.
playoffs are here.
We'll see. Apparently. Yeah. So, we'll talk more about it on Thursday, because we're not doing a show on Friday, but we'll talk about it on Thursday. We'll get you ready for the Rangers Mariners series, and the big storyline heading into that series, outside of, everything that it means, right, is Bryce Miller and Brian Wu are making starts in that series. You need those guys to do something they haven't really done much this season. You're going to rely heavily on a couple of young guys to basically salvage your season here, because again, yeah, if you have a bad series in Texas, mathematically you're not done, but it puts you at a severe disadvantage heading into the final two series of the season, and asks of you to do something that is going to be very difficult to accomplish. We'll just say that. We'll just leave it at that. But again, we'll go over that and more on Thursday's show. But for now, we'll keep our focus here on this Oakland series. The Mariners need to get this win tomorrow with George Kirby on the bump. They have a great advantage in the pitching matchup. Need to take full advantage of that and get out of Oakland with a sweep and finish their season series against the Oakland Athletics 12-1. They are 11-1 after tonight's win against the A's, which have been a massive help to their overall record this season. So thank you, Oakland Athletics, for the assist on that front. And go Orioles, go Yankees, which is gross to say, and go Red Sox. Gonna need your help. And if the Red Sox win tomorrow, they beat the Rangers and win a series against the Rangers, and the Mariners win tomorrow, Mariners will have a game lead on the Rangers. But again, it's a game because they're tied right now. So if the Rangers lose tomorrow, yeah. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Gonna be a fun day of baseball tomorrow, hopefully. And then be sure to catch us on the Locked On Mariners postgame show after the game. That's gonna do it for us. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners postgame show. For Colby Patnode, I'm Trident Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez. It's DANEGNZLZ. And Colby at CPAT11. That's CPAT11. You can also find all that stuff in the description of this episode. Thank you again for making us your first listen. Again, you can catch the Mariners and the A's tomorrow for the series finale on the Mariners hometown broadcast, SiriusXM via the SXM app. Have yourself a beautiful baseball evening, and we'll see you next time. Peace.